Beloved, before the sun rises over your worries, and before the noise of this world begins to press against your heart, come close and listen to me. I am your strength. I am your shield. When fear whispers that you are alone, it is my voice that calls you by name. When weakness tries to define you, it is my power that sustains you. As you begin this day with Psalm 28, do not look at your limitations. Look at me. I hear every cry you have never spoken aloud. I see every burden you carry in silence. I stand between you and the battles you cannot see. Trust me this morning. Lean into my presence. Let my word rise within you like a shield around your soul. Today you will not walk unprotected, for I go before you as your defender and remain within you as your unshakable strength. When you cry out to me, I am not distant. I am not distracted. I am not unaware of the weight in your voice or the tremble in your spirit. I hear you before the words fully form on your lips. I understand the language of your tears, the sighs you try to suppress, and the silent prayers that rise from a weary heart. You may feel surrounded by noise, by responsibilities, by expectations that press heavily against you, but your voice cuts through all of it and reaches me. I do not measure your worth by the strength of your faith in that moment. I respond because you are mine. Even when your prayer feels weak, even when doubt tries to mingle with your words, I hear the deeper cry beneath it, the longing for help, the hunger for peace, the need for assurance. There are times when you wonder if I am listening, because the answer does not come as quickly as you expect. You question the silence. You interpret delay as distance. But my child, my hearing is not dependent on your emotions. I am attentive to you at all times. When you rise early and whisper my name, I am there. When you call to me in the middle of chaos, I am there. When you feel too exhausted to speak and can only sit quietly, I am still there, fully aware of what you need before you ask. I do not require perfect words. I desire a sincere heart. You have known moments when you felt ignored by people, overlooked, unheard in rooms filled with voices louder than yours. That pain can make you assume I will treat you the same way. But I am not like them. I do not grow impatient with your repeated requests. I do not roll my eyes at your vulnerability. I do not turn away when your prayers seem small or ordinary. Every request matters because you matter. The smallest whisper of faith reaches my throne with clarity. When you say, "Hear me," it is not a plea to convince me to listen. It is an invitation for you to remember that I already am. My hearing is constant. My attention toward you is unwavering. Even when you feel spiritually dry, when your heart feels heavy and your mind feels clouded, my awareness of you does not fade. I know the thoughts you are afraid to admit. I know the fears you hide behind strength. I know the burdens you carry to appear capable. And still, I draw near. There are battles you fight internally that no one else sees. Anxiety that tightens your chest. Doubts that question your value. Memories that try to pull you backward. When you cry out in those hidden struggles, I am your witness and your helper. You are never speaking into emptiness. You are speaking to a Father who is attentive and compassionate. I lean toward your voice. I incline my ear toward your prayer, not because I must, but because I love you. Sometimes you fear that your mistakes have disqualified you from being heard. You think, why would God listen to me after what I have done? But my listening is not based on your perfection. It is grounded in my mercy. When you come to me honestly, acknowledging your need, I do not push you away. I do not compare you to others. I do not calculate your failures before deciding whether to respond. I see your heart turning toward me, And that is enough for me to respond with compassion. When you wake up and begin your day with Psalm 28, when you declare that I am your strength and your shield, understand that those words are not empty tradition. They are a reminder that your cries have a destination. They are directed toward a living God who is involved in your daily life. I am not confined to distant heavens, uninterested in your schedule, your work, your family, your personal struggles. I am present in all of it. When you ask for guidance before a decision, I hear you. When you ask for patience in a difficult conversation, I hear you. When you ask for courage to face something intimidating, I hear you. There will be days when your prayer feels powerful, when faith rises easily within you. There will also be days when your prayer feels fragile, when your voice shakes and your confidence feels thin. I hear you on both days. My response is not determined by the intensity of your emotion, but by the sincerity of your dependence. You do not have to perform for me. You do not have to impress me with eloquent language. Bring me your real heart. Bring me your honest concerns. Bring me your raw confusion. I know that sometimes you pray and immediately look around for visible change. You want a sign, a shift, a clear answer. But hearing does not always mean instant transformation. There are moments when I answer by strengthening you rather than changing the situation. There are times when my response is protection you do not even realize you needed. You may never see the dangers I divert, the doors I close, the unseen battles I fight on your behalf. Yet your cry activates my movement in ways you cannot fully comprehend. Do not let discouragement silence you. The enemy would love for you to believe that prayer is useless, that your voice does not matter. But every time you call on me, you are aligning your heart with truth. You are choosing trust over despair. You are declaring that you believe I am near. That declaration alone reshapes your spirit. When you continue to cry out, even after waiting, even after disappointment, you demonstrate a faith that reaches deep into my heart. You are not a burden to me. Your repeated prayers are not an annoyance. Your tears are not wasted. I collect them. I remember them. I respond in ways that serve your eternal good, even when you only see a small part of the picture. When you say, Lord, hear my voice, know that I have already heard it from the beginning. I was aware of your need before you recognized it. I was preparing provision before you realized you would require it. As you step into this day, let this truth settle within you. Your cry is powerful because it is directed toward a God who listens. Not casually, not occasionally, but attentively and compassionately. You do not have to fight to gain my attention. You already have it. When fear tries to convince you that you are alone, remember the countless times I have carried you through what you thought would break you. Remember the prayers I have answered in ways you once doubted were possible. Call to me again today, in confidence, in humility, in expectation. Let your first words in the morning be directed toward me. Let your worries become prayers rather than silent stress. Let your gratitude rise freely. I am your strength and your shield, and I am also the one who hears you. When you cry out, heaven does not remain silent. I move, I respond, I draw near. And as you continue to seek me, you will find that my listening presence becomes the foundation upon which your entire day stands. When you feel weak, I am not disappointed in you. I am not surprised by your limits, nor am I frustrated by your need. I formed you, and I know the boundaries of your strength. I understand the moments when your energy feels drained before the day has even begun, when responsibilities feel heavier than your shoulders can carry, when your heart feels tired from fighting silent battles. In those moments, I do not stand at a distance waiting for you to fix yourself. I step closer and remind you that I am your strength. You were never meant to rely solely on your own power. The world teaches you to be self-sufficient, to appear unshakable, to hide weakness as though it were failure. But I see weakness differently. Your weakness is not a flaw to be ashamed of. It is an invitation to lean into me. When you acknowledge that you cannot do everything on your own, you make room for my power to rest upon you. When you admit that you are tired, you open your hands to receive my sustaining grace. There are days when you wake up already feeling behind, already feeling inadequate. You measure yourself against expectations, your own and others. You compare your progress, your strength, your resilience. You see where you fall short, and discouragement tries to settle into your spirit. But I do not measure you by comparison. I do not define you by productivity. I do not love you more on your strong days and less on your weak ones. My love remains steady, and my strength remains available. When fear tightens its grip around your thoughts, when anxiety whispers that you will not be able to handle what lies ahead, I am your inner reinforcement. I do not always remove the challenge immediately. Sometimes I allow you to walk through it so that you may discover that my strength is greater than you imagined. You step forward trembling, unsure if you can endure, and then you realize you are still standing. Not because you suddenly became powerful on your own, but because I upheld you. You have faced moments in your life when you believed you would break. Moments when the pressure seemed unbearable, when the weight of disappointment or loss felt suffocating. Yet you are still here. You are still breathing. You are still moving forward. That was not by accident. That was my strength carrying you when your own had run out. Even when you did not consciously call my name, I was present, reinforcing your spirit, sustaining your mind, protecting your heart from shattering completely. I know the exhaustion that comes from trying to be strong for everyone else. I see how you hold yourself together so others can lean on you. I see the quiet tears you wipe away so no one will worry. I see the inner battles you refuse to speak about because you do not want to appear fragile. But you do not have to hide your weakness from me. You do not have to perform resilience in my presence. Come to me as you are, tired, uncertain, overwhelmed, and allow me to be what you are not in that moment. My strength does not operate like human strength. It does not depend on adrenaline or temporary motivation. It is steady, unwavering, constant. It does not fluctuate with your emotions. When you feel confident, I am your strength. When you feel insecure, I am still your strength. When your faith feels bold, I am your strength. When your faith feels fragile, I remain your strength. I do not withdraw when you struggle. I draw nearer. There are situations you cannot control, conversations you cannot predict, outcomes you cannot guarantee. Your mind may race, trying to calculate every possibility, trying to prepare for every scenario. But your mental effort has limits. My power does not. When you surrender the need to control everything, you allow my strength to operate in places you cannot reach. I strengthen you not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually. I steady your thoughts. I calm your racing heart. I anchor your identity so that it is not shaken by circumstances. When you say, I can't do this, do not hear condemnation in my response. Hear compassion. I gently remind you, you are not doing it alone. Your inability is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of my intervention. I am not asking you to deny your weakness. I am asking you to trust my power within it. As you move through this day, you may encounter tasks that feel beyond your capacity. Instead of shrinking back in fear, whisper my name. Invite my strength into that space. You will discover courage rising where insecurity once dominated. I strengthen you in patience when frustration builds. I strengthen you in kindness when irritation tries to take over. I strengthen you in integrity when compromise seems easier. I strengthen you in perseverance when quitting feels tempting. My power works quietly within you, shaping your responses, guiding your steps, reinforcing your resolve. You may not always recognize it in the moment, but later you will look back and realize that you handled something differently than you once would have. That was my strength transforming you from within. Do not despise your moments of weakness. They teach you dependence. They remind you that you are human and that I am God. They strip away pride and self-reliance and bring you into deeper intimacy with me. When you kneel in prayer, because you have no other solution, when you lift your eyes, because you have exhausted your own strategies, you are positioning yourself to receive divine strength. I honor that posture. I respond to that humility. There will be days when you feel emotionally drained by conflict, by misunderstanding, by unmet expectations. You may feel tempted to harden your heart to protect yourself. But I strengthen you not to become hardened, but to remain tender without becoming broken. I give you the resilience to love again after disappointment. I give you the courage to trust again after betrayal. I give you the stability to stand firm without losing compassion. My strength is not loud or boastful. It is steady and reliable. It is the quiet confidence that whispers, "Keep going." It is the gentle assurance that says, "You are upheld." It is the unseen support beneath your wary steps. When your body feels tired, I renew your spirit. When your mind feels cluttered, I bring clarity. When your heart feels heavy, I infuse it with hope. I do not always change your external circumstances immediately, but I transform your internal capacity to endure them. You may think that strong people never struggle, never doubt, never feel overwhelmed. But true strength is not the absence of struggle. It is the willingness to rely on me in the midst of it. Each time you choose to trust me, instead of surrendering to despair, you are exercising a strength that does not originate from you alone. I am forming endurance within you. I am shaping perseverance. I am building faith that will not collapse under pressure. As you begin this day with Psalm 28 on your lips, remember that declaring me as your strength is not symbolic language. It is reality. When challenges arise, you do not face them empty-handed. My power surrounds you and fills you. My spirit reinforces you in ways you cannot fully see. You may feel small in comparison to the obstacles ahead, but those obstacles are small in comparison to me. Walk into this day aware that you are supported by divine strength. When you feel your energy fading, pause and draw from me. When your confidence wavers, remind yourself that your foundation is not your own ability, but my unwavering power. I am not limited by your weakness. I am revealed through it. I am not hindered by your inadequacy. I am magnified when you depend on me. Let your weakness become the doorway through which my strength flows freely. Let your limitations point you back to my limitless power. Let your tired heart find rest in the assurance that you do not carry this day alone. I am your strength in the morning. I am your strength in the pressure of the afternoon. I am your strength in the quiet battles no one else sees. And as you continue to lean on me, you will find that what once overwhelmed you no longer defines you, because my strength within you is greater than any force that rises against you. I am your shield in every battle, even the ones you do not recognize as battles. There are conflicts you see clearly, moments of opposition, criticism, rejection, or confrontation. But there are also hidden battles, subtle attacks against your peace, your identity, your faith. When doubt creeps into your thoughts and tries to convince you that you are alone, I stand between that lie and your heart. When temptation whispers promises that would ultimately wound you, I position myself as your protection. When fear attempts to magnify itself beyond reason, I absorb its impact and steady your spirit. You often imagine a shield as something you must hold up with your own strength, something heavy that depends on your grip. But I am not a shield that you struggle to carry. I am a living defense that surrounds you. My protection does not rely on your constant awareness. Even when you are distracted, even when you forget to pray in a moment of busyness, I remain vigilant. I do not grow tired. I do not lose focus. I do not step away from my position. There are words spoken against you that could have cut deeper than they did. There are opportunities that fell apart that could have led you into harm. There are relationships that ended before they destroyed your peace completely. You may have mourned those moments, questioned them, even resented them. But often what you perceived as loss was protection. I was shielding you from outcomes you could not foresee. I was guarding your future while you grieved your present. When you walk into environments filled with tension, when you face people who misunderstand you or misjudge your intentions, I stand as your defense. You do not need to retaliate with the same spirit that comes against you. You do not need to armor yourself with pride or harshness. Trust that I am your shield. I filter what reaches your soul. Not every negative word needs to penetrate your heart. Not every accusation deserves your emotional energy. I guard your inner peace when you allow me to. Some battles are internal. The war of comparison that tells you that you are behind. The war of regret that replays your past mistakes. The war of insecurity that questions your value. These are not small struggles. They can exhaust you silently. But I am your shield there as well. When those thoughts attempt to strike your identity, I intercept them with truth. I remind you who you are in me. I block the arrows of condemnation that try to convince you that your failures define you. There will be seasons when spiritual resistance feels stronger, when discouragement seems persistent, when obstacles appear repeatedly. Do not assume that this means I have stepped away. Often, the intensity of the battle is evidence that something valuable is being protected. I shield your calling. I shield your growth. I shield the transformation happening within you. What the enemy desires to destroy, I defend with unwavering commitment. You may not always see my shield, but you experience its effects. The accident that did not happen, the conflict that de-escalated unexpectedly, the impulse you resisted at the last moment, the clarity that came just in time, these are not coincidences. They are signs of my protective hand. I move in ways you cannot measure. I stand in places you cannot reach. I block forces you cannot detect. Sometimes you ask me to remove the battle entirely. There are moments when I do calm the storm immediately, but there are also times when I allow you to walk through it while remaining fully shielded. Protection does not always mean absence of conflict. It means preservation in the midst of it. You may feel pressure, but you are not crushed. You may feel challenged, but you are not destroyed. You may feel attacked, but you are not abandoned. When betrayal wounds you, I shield your heart from becoming permanently hardened. When disappointment shakes you, I shield your hope from completely dying. When failure humbles you, I shield your identity from collapsing into shame. I do not promise a life without opposition, but I promise that opposition will not have the final word over you. My shield ensures that what is meant to end you becomes something that strengthens you instead. Do not try to fight every battle in your own strength. You exhaust yourself when you attempt to defend your reputation at all costs, when you obsess over proving yourself to those who have already chosen not to understand you. Step back and let me be your shield. I see what you cannot see. I understand motives hidden beneath smiles. I know when silence is wiser than response. I know when to close doors and when to open them again. Trust my positioning. There are unseen spiritual realities that you rarely consider, forces that aim to distract, divide, discourage. But I am not intimidated by them. I do not panic at their strategies. My authority surpasses every hidden threat. When you call my name, you are not whispering into weakness. You are aligning yourself with the ultimate defender. My shield is not fragile. It does not crack under pressure. It does not fail when the attack intensifies. As you move through your day, imagine my presence encircling you. When you enter a difficult conversation, I am there. When you face a decision that could alter your path, I am there. When you feel emotionally vulnerable, I am there. You are not exposed. You are not defenseless. Even when you feel sensitive or uncertain, my protection remains intact. There will be times when you feel the impact of a blow, when criticism stings or circumstances shift suddenly. Protection does not mean you feel nothing. It means the impact does not destroy you. It means the strike does not penetrate to the point of spiritual death. I absorb what would otherwise overwhelm you. I regulate what is allowed to shape you. I prevent what could permanently derail you. Trusting me as your shield requires surrender. It requires releasing the constant need to control outcomes. It requires believing that I am active even when you cannot trace my movements. When you choose not to retaliate in anger, you are trusting my shield. When you refuse to give in to despair, you are trusting my shield. When you continue to walk forward despite opposition, you are demonstrating confidence in my defense. I shield not only your present but your future. There are paths you desired that I did not permit. There are timelines you imagined that I adjusted. There are connections you pursued that I quietly unraveled. You saw disappointment. I saw danger. You felt delay. I enacted protection. In time, you will understand that many of my refusals were forms of shielding. Many of my silences were strategic. Many of my detours were acts of love. Do not fear the battles that arise today. Do not be intimidated by voices that challenge you. Do not shrink back because resistance appears. Stand firm in the awareness that I am positioned around you. I am between you and what seeks to harm you. I am attentive to every movement against you. I do not miss a single detail. Even when you feel emotionally exposed, remember that your vulnerability does not cancel my protection. Even when you make mistakes, my shield does not vanish. I correct you, I guide you, I teach you, but I do not abandon you to destruction. My commitment to guard you is rooted in my love, not in your perfection. Walk through this day with confidence, not because you predict ease, but because you trust my defense. When anxiety tries to forecast disaster, remember that I am already present in your tomorrow. When tension rises, breathe and recall that I surround you. When doubt attempts to question your safety, remind your heart that you are covered. I am your shield in public spaces and private struggles. I am your shield in visible conflicts and invisible wars. I am your shield when you feel strong and when you feel fragile. No weapon formed against you has authority beyond my permission. No attack escapes my notice. No strategy against you overrides my sovereignty. Stay close to me. Keep your heart aligned with my voice. Let your trust rest in my protection rather than your own defenses. And as you continue forward, even through tension and uncertainty, know that you are encircled, guarded, preserved by a shield that does not weaken, does not retreat, does not fail. When you choose to trust me, I fill your heart with a confidence that does not depend on circumstances. Trust is not denial of difficulty. It is not pretending that challenges do not exist. Trust is the steady assurance that I am greater than what stands before you. When your heart rests in me, it becomes anchored, no longer tossed endlessly by fear, no longer controlled by every shifting emotion. I do not ask you to manufacture this trust on your own. I cultivate it within you as you draw near to me. There are many voices competing for your attention each day. Some speak worry. Some speak doubt. Some remind you of past disappointments and try to predict future failures. If you allow those voices to dominate your thoughts, your heart becomes restless and unstable. But when you turn toward me in the morning, when you begin your day with prayer and declare that I am your strength and shield, something begins to settle inside you. My presence quiets the noise. My truth steadies your breathing. My promises reshape your perspective. Unshakable trust is not built in a single moment. It grows through experience with me. Every time you face something difficult and discover that I carried you through it, your trust deepens. Every time you pray and later recognize my hand in the outcome, your confidence in me strengthens. Even the seasons of waiting contribute to this growth. When you look back and see how I sustained you through delay, how I provided in unexpected ways, how I protected you from unseen harm, your heart learns that I am faithful. You may sometimes feel that your trust is fragile. You may believe that one more disappointment could cause it to collapse. But remember that your trust does not rest on your emotional stability. It rests on my unchanging nature. I do not shift with the wind. I do not change my character based on your circumstances. When your emotions fluctuate, I remain constant. When your understanding is limited, my wisdom remains complete. The more you focus on who I am rather than what you feel, the stronger your trust becomes. There will be moments when life does not make sense. Plans unravel, expectations fall apart, doors close without explanation. In those moments, trust is not easy. Your mind will demand clarity. Your heart will crave reassurance. I do not condemn you for those desires. But I invite you to place your questions in my hands, rather than allowing them to harden into doubt. Trust does not require that you understand everything. It requires that you believe I see everything. When you place your trust in me, I guard your heart against despair. Disappointment may visit you, but it does not take permanent residence. Fear may knock at your door, but it does not rule your decisions. Anxiety may whisper, but it does not dictate your future. Trust acts like a stabilizing force within you. It keeps you grounded when circumstances attempt to shake you. It reminds you that even when outcomes are uncertain, my presence is certain. I know how easily your thoughts can spiral. One concern leads to another, and soon your mind is racing with possibilities that may never happen. Trust interrupts that cycle. It redirects your focus from worst-case scenarios to divine assurance. When you consciously say, I trust you, you are not ignoring reality. You are choosing to interpret reality through the lens of my faithfulness rather than through fear. Trust also frees you from the exhausting need to control everything. When you believe that everything depends solely on you, your heart remains tense, always calculating, always anticipating disaster. But when you remember that I am sovereign, that I am actively involved in your life, you can release that pressure. You still act responsibly. You still make wise choices. But you do not carry the weight of the entire world on your shoulders. You allow me to carry what was never meant for you. There will be situations today that test your trust. A conversation that does not go as planned. An unexpected expense. A delay that disrupts your schedule. In those small moments, you have an opportunity to strengthen your heart. Instead of immediately reacting with frustration or panic, pause and remember who I am. Remind yourself that I am not surprised by what surprised you. I am not scrambling to fix what unsettled you. I am already present in the situation, working beyond what you can see. Unshakable trust does not mean you never feel fear. It means fear does not have the final authority over your choices. You may feel nervous before stepping into something new. You may feel uncertain about how things will unfold. But when you trust me, you move forward anyway, confident that I will guide your steps. Trust gives you courage. It enables you to act even when you do not have every answer. Your heart becomes steady when it rests in my promises. I have never abandoned you. I have never failed to remain faithful to my word. Even in seasons when you felt alone, I was sustaining you. Even in times when you doubted my nearness, I was orchestrating details for your good. Trust grows when you remember these truths intentionally. Do not let past testimonies fade from your memory. Recall them, speak them. Let them reinforce your confidence. There is a peace that flows from trust, a quiet assurance that everything will not collapse simply because something went wrong. This peace is not rooted in perfect circumstances, but in my perfect character. When storms arise, trust acts as an anchor. It prevents your heart from drifting into hopelessness. It holds you steady until clarity returns. I do not expect you to trust me blindly without relationship. I invite you into daily communion. The more you spend time in my presence, the more you understand my heart. The more you understand my heart, the easier it becomes to trust my intentions. You begin to see that even when I say no, it is for your protection. Even when I delay, it is for your development. Even when I redirect you, it is towards something better than you imagined. Trust transforms the way you interpret challenges. Instead of seeing them only as threats, you begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of assuming that difficulty means abandonment, you recognize that I may be shaping endurance within you. Instead of viewing every setback as failure, you begin to ask what I am teaching you through it. As you continue to declare that I am your strength and shield, let trust take root deeply. Let it penetrate beyond surface-level belief. Let it shape your reactions, your expectations, your conversations. When others panic, you remain calm because your confidence is anchored in me. When uncertainty spreads, you stand firm because you know the one who holds the future. You will not always feel strong. You will not always feel certain, but you can always choose to trust. And each time you do, your heart becomes more resilient. Each time you rely on my character rather than your own understanding, your faith matures. Each time you surrender control and rest in my sovereignty, peace expands within you. Allow me to fill your heart so completely that trust becomes your natural response. Let my presence quiet your fears before they grow. Let my promises override the lies that try to shake you. Let your confidence be rooted not in temporary outcomes, but in eternal truth. And as you walk through this day, moment by moment, decision by decision, challenge by challenge, carry within you a heart established in unwavering trust, a heart that remains steady, because it is anchored in me.